Well, we're already a fifth of the way through the Tier 2 season here for round 3 now of Season 13 Tier 2. And it's time to figure out who's going to win in Austria. This race, 3 seasons ago, back in Season 10, was a chaotic one. But this time, with a different field, with some of the same drivers, will we get that same chaos we saw just a few seasons prior? Will it be the underdog teams prevailing this time? What will happen here tonight in Austria? We've already had 2 rounds so far to the F1 Tier 2 Season 13 season. But with that being said, though, we've had 2 different winners. Tadpole, who's now up in Tier 1, and also JTK, who is leading the championship. JTK's been on podium 100% of the time so far this season. But will that streak continue, and will other things that usually happen here in Tier 2 continue as well tonight? Welcome along, folks, for the event. I am your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me at about a minute or 2 time will be George Alp-Williams, yesterday's Tier 3 winner, and also a previous winner at the circuit back in F2, and he'll know a lot about this circuit ahead of tonight's race. But as for the circuit, though, let's talk about it for just a moment. Why is Will inviting me to a party? Let's talk about it for a moment, though. Last time we were here, it was round 2 last season. And interestingly enough, although Grandpa won the race and won 2 in a row, there were some interesting things that ended up happening through the event. Ardell was en route for his first podium, but didn't happen. We also ran full qualifying at this race last season, but we don't run full qualifying anymore for RPL Tier 2. We also had a race where penalties did change the podium after in post-race. Why did it change it in post-race? Well, the answer to that being because Ardell went through the white line on the pit lane entrance and cost himself a podium finish, putting JNT Gaming and Hunted on there. Hunted also another driver as well to talk about tonight. It's his first race of the season. And for Hunted's sake as well, let's talk about him for a second and why it's important for him to do well tonight. He's expected to probably be on top, be on pole position, win this race, but the last 3 seasons here, he's just missed out. He's just missed out on it, and it hasn't happened. For Hunted's sake, Season 10, it was the battle at Florian, crashing with him, and even that person later on. Also as well followed up by some crazy stuff later on where Hunted ended up getting spun by Florian a second time and then still recovered at the podium. It was not enough for the race victory. This season later, he won on track, but missed out on track limit penalties. If it weren't for Zatsy's misfortune of rage quitting the lobby as the host, maybe Hunted would have got his race director and got it removed, maybe he was thinking. In Season 12, he had the pace, but he just wasn't there for the race victory and was just 3rd or 2nd that day. But Hunted has his 3rd outing here tonight in McLaren for Tier 2 at Austria, and will the 3rd time be the charm? How to qualifying tonight, let's just remind the drivers and the viewers as well. The risk of rain around here is a crazy amount usually, compared to other circuits, but the question now becomes, will it rain at all for tonight's event? I'm looking on the driver stream, and it looks to be a dry race. That's a good thing that it is a dry race, though, but what will come with it? What will come with this dry race for tonight's event? Track limits? Track limits is a big thing. ERS management around the circuit, that's also another big thing to look out for as well. Not only do we have ERS management around the circuit and track limits, but curbing, that's a big thing to look out on. You can easily slip and slide on these curbs and go spinning around. You also have as well pit lane accidents that happen very, very frequently around the circuit, so something to watch out for there as well. More corners are flat than usual, 3 DRS zones. And ERS and qualifying is always something we'll look forward to for tonight's event. Just something to mention that you may notice on the track map, different colors for the V-Carb, Haas, and the Red Bull. That does change because, well, it was confusing prior, so there you go. But we do have Jordan out on track, and let's just talk about him for a quick second before George does come in here. For Jordan, he was up there in the V-Carb yesterday in Tier 3, and because of the fact that he's now got a podium in every race in that tier, he's got moved up to Tier 2. Not only on loan for tonight, by the way, to Haas. What else do we have for full-time seats? Lyro Fusion full-time. Hunted first race of the season. Blonde full-time at Sauber now. Polo guy moves up to Ferrari because J&T's moved up to Tier 1. Ardell reserving in Red Bull. Lewis Piper full-time at Sauber. And I think that's it for our event tonight. George, previous Austria winner in F2, welcome along. Good to have you.
Hello.
So, by the way, just want to mention before we get to any laps, congrats on the Tier 3 win yesterday.
Yeah, it was, kind of a boring race, I can't lie. The past 2 races are kind of boring. Just DRS overtakes. But I mean, it's a new tier. We're still trying to figure out who the best drivers are. As you would have seen, Jordan, who I'm currently on board with, is just to set the fastest lap or first lap of the session. He's been banned, and heavy discussions over if Matt 41, who's just gone fast as well, if he should get banned or not. I believe he's been given a few extra races though, just to see. So yeah, it's a new tier. There's a lot of new drivers. It's very like the first season or 2, maybe even 3. It was going to be big. Just try to filter the best drivers or the most suitable drivers for the tier in and out.
Just to clarify for people in the Twitch chat, maybe wondering why George said he's been banned, specifically banned from Tier 3 to clarify, so he would not be able to race in Tier 3 any longer due to how fast he is. Lyro Fusion, Hunted, they both just set times. I'm on board with Mentucky, and she raced here last season and missed out on Q3 when it was full qualifying back then in the Aston, now in the Mercedes. I've heard a lot of talk from the Mercedes camp, George, that it seems like Aston Martin has been clarified the faster car than Mercedes, and will be clarified that way publicly quite soon, because although in the game files it does show that Mercedes is slightly ahead, when you test the cars, the Aston Martin seems to be slightly faster than the Mercedes, and Mentucky, kind of comparing the 2 cars each week, said last week is about a 2 or 3 tenth gap, as she invalidates this week kind of being the same in Austria after Qatar. So Mercedes, Aston, I know you talked about Wavy's performance in the Mercedes last week. George, would he be moved down to Williams then maybe, since Mercedes might be the second team now for that academy?
Well, actually, it's like I've got no idea on the car performance because like a lot of people say the McLaren's the fastest car, then a lot of people are saying
Correct,
the Aston is like the fastest Mercedes Academy's car. There's a lot of. Honestly, I don't really play the game enough to have any idea. So yeah, I've sort of got a bit of a weak opinion on that front. Sorry.
Oh, Dill JG invalidated his lap time, and for Dylan's case, I think it's not been the first 2 races that he would have wanted so far. Decent finishes, but he said it's one of the worst starts to an F1 game he's had, which is a big disappointment for Dylan. 7 guys have now completed laps. Mentucky on an invalidated lap, but I think gonna go for another one here. Who else do we have? We got Blonde, we got Wavy on an out lap. We don't really have anybody on a lap right now besides now Mentucky. We'll go on board with her. I'll cover the first half while George gets the second half. Turn 1 here. Little late braking compared to last game. You can take it much more easier on the inside curbing than prior. Mentucky was in 5th gear there, which is a bit of a surprise for turn 1. I would have expected 4th. Now turn 2, turn 3 a little bit more reprofiled here in this section. You saw a bit of gravel dipped onto the circuit, so someone earlier on made a mistake right there. Turn 3, so hard to nail on this circuit, but we've seen chaos here before in the F2 starts, the Tier 2 starts, and now into turn 4. Heavy braking here. And it looks like it's going to be okay for Mentucky. You want to use a bit more of these curbs? She does. But now, George, this is where you get to the section where it's more flat out than prior. Or just about flat out.
Yeah, it's a very important section. It's very hard to keep the tyres in the correct operating temperature, as Mentucky is just displayed. It's a very awkward track to try and optimize tyre pressures, and she's absolutely slogging it through the last sector. Wow, she's really making up for the last time. through the start of the last sector. But no, yeah, that middle sector it's very hard to get right. It's very, very important. Much like the second or third corner, that uphill hairpin. It's such an easy corner to get wrong, and it's such an important corner. This track looks a bit like Monza in the sense that it's in these like a couple of corners. It looks like it's easy, but once you get into it, and a tier as close as tier 2, you actually come to realise how hard this track is, as Wavy Knife invalidates coming out of the last corner.
Got John on the lap now, and just about Kentucky with what she did there. I'm surprised she saved it, because for Valkyrie's case, she wasn't able to save it in the race 3 seasons ago when she made that exact same mistake. She collected a 3-car collision with Gecko and Bulgogi being involved in that race. That was one of the many incidents back in the season 10 tier 2 race year. If you do remember that, George, I know you weren't in the race that day, but pretty sure you were watching, if I'm correct, or at least watching it back then. That was the race, as you famously remembered, as the Hunted versus Florian race, famously for their shenanigans. John backed out. Polo and Ardell are both on laps. I'm going to go on board with Polo since he's returning to Ferrari. George, you've been in this Ferrari Academy before, in and out of it, kind of like Polo has. But Polo's back in the main Scarlet Red Ferrari this time after having 2 races prior in the Sauber. He's returned to RPL racing, and he's got a win at the circuit before, but that comes in F2, and he's also never won in F1 cars either, even if it was tier 1 or tier 2. What do you expect from Polo tonight as he completes the lap now?
He used to be he's sort of like one of the founding fathers of RPL. He used to be a very, very fast tier 1, consistent tier 1 front runner. He seems to have fallen off a little bit, and then he left the league a couple of times. Now he seems to come back. I've not seen too much of him. His first lap is right up there with the likes of Hunted, who's a lot more in form, let's say. So it's definitely nice to have him back, and it'll be nice to see what he can properly do now in a front-running car.
Former tier 1 pole sitter, former tier 1 podium sitter. He's going to give a toe to Dil JG here, maybe a slight one, just getting out of the way to not affect him with more dirty air than he may have already had. Dil JG I'm on board with now. JTK yet to set a lap. There are next 2 guys as well as John. John makes it a McLaren 1-2, and then JTK, I believe, starts a lap actually, as Dil JG now comes to the middle sector. He invalidated the last time. We'll find out if he keeps it clean this time. But yeah, you're right for Polo Gotti, former tier 1 Ferrari driver, teammates with the likes of De Chiller, F1 driver, a lot of famous names in the past, even Reece Dainty as well. Now across the line for Dil JG. Finally, this lap will be valid for Dil JG. Does he overtake his teammate on the charts? Yes, he does. Second fastest. He's not had a lap like that so far this season. He needed that, and he splits both McLarens. And you were talking about maybe McLaren being maybe fastest, you've heard. Well, they're currently 1 and 3, while Ferrari are 2 and 4.
Yeah, very interesting that the Red Bulls are nowhere. However, JTK has looked very much in form the last season, and the start of this game. He'll be looking to upset the party there. I would like to comment on Dylan there. I was very critical of him in Qatar qualifying, saying he put a lot of pressure on himself in the last lap, and he did invalidate the first lap of this session. So it's nice to see him finally get a banker on the table and not leave himself all the work to do for his final run.
A lot of overtake here from JTK in this final sector. He's going to run out of battery before the line, but he's absolutely abusing these curbs. And I thought he was going to cross the white line, but he didn't, and now he has. Will he keep this valid? I think he just barely backed off. He did, because you can see he's lost out to Polo God, as this lap may have been slightly better than what Polo had, but Red Bull 5-6, kind of on the back foot right now, but the one who's more on the back foot, Wavy Knife, yet to have a lap in. Lewis Piper returning as well to RPL, this time in Tier 2. He's yet to have a lap. Blonde's invalidated. I'm going to go on board with Jordan, though, because he got a podium yesterday in Tier 3, if I'm correct. We'll ride on board with him throughout the final sector here in a moment. You spoke about Polo for a moment. I just wanted to say, last week, first point of the season in the Sauber, contending with Wavy Knife for the last point or two. Bahrain was a disappointing race from him. So, does he deserve this Ferrari? We'll find out for tonight. Will third time be the charm, though? That will be the question. A previous F2 winner on the circuit, as well as yourself, George. So, maybe high expectations for a circuit like this. Same with Hunted, though, who's come up short 3 times in this race prior. Is the third time the charm for the McLaren? Because he's ran this McLaren twice here before. Well, Wavy Knife is on a lap, and I'll have you cover this, George, because, like I keep saying, you're a previous winner here in F2. You know a lot about the circuit, but take us through it this time with Tier 2. Wavy Knife.
So comes into one of the most important corners on the track. He gets a little bit squirrely on the exit, which might hamper him all the way down the straight. He's not boosting too much. He's not really used much overtake, which is an interesting strategy for the two biggest straights on the track. It keeps it all fairly nice and neat. A little bit of a lockup on the front right, but nothing too scary. He stays in 6th, revs out the engine. Still yet to use overtake as far as I know. He's got a lot of battery saved up for this last sector. Seems like a quite conservative banker, in my opinion. I don't think he'll be pushing the top 5 with this. However, all he really needs is the lap time on the board, which he's done. Because at the exit of the last corner, what is he going to be? Yeah, P12.
Ooh. I will say, although that does look a little disappointing, the whole field being within a second is a good sight to see from that top 12. Something we saw within the top 14 in qualifying in this race, I think 2 seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago as well. I think we might have seen it twice. Blonde, 13th fastest, and Lewis Piper, the last one to set a lap. He will go 9th fastest in the Sauber. Sauber looking for points finishes 2 days in a row. They did it with Goon yesterday, a former race winner in F2. Lewis Piper, a former race winner in F1 at Monza, another track with a lot of straights. Red Fire will be our 19th driver. He'll need an invite. George, do you want to maybe do that right now? Or do you want me to do it?
I don't have it. I think that was actually...
Alright, well, I can get him then, if you don't have him.
Yeah.
I will do that.
It's quite a good lap
yeah,
from Wavy, actually, to be fair. If you think about it, he didn't use any
True.
overtake. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah. I wouldn't say...
That will be very big for qualifying. How you use your ERS, because there are 3 big straights and you don't want to run out before the line. I could tell Ardell's on a in-lap here, or just kind of, yeah, an in-lap here, because he's on none ERS right now. So, yeah, fair point there, George, because I would have thought you would have used, well, if you're Wavy's, and if you're in Wavy shoes, you would have used a bit more ERS. And, well, Malley's using ERS to start his lap here. Let's cover this one because this might be one of our final laps we cover. Into turn 1 from the driver who got 4th place yesterday and returns to this circuit where he was in winning contention and even a podium contention just 3 seasons ago when that race opened up after Hunted, Florian, Grandpa, Dat Person, the whole field really got into shenanigans during this race. Malley couldn't see how much he was improving or down by in Sector 1, but he does use a lot of his battery here into turn 4. 30% now in this battery. You talked about Wavy not using a lot, but Will's using a lot here, George. Which position would you want to be in? Not using as much or using a lot here?
Well, I think he's coming towards the end of qualifying, so this will almost definitely be his last lap. So he's going to want to leave nothing on the table. We could argue that perhaps Wavy's was a banker. He wanted to sandbag a little bit, but Will for sure is leaving absolutely nothing on the table, extracting everything from the car, and he's validated, and he's bottled. Kick him, ban him.
Oh, Jordan just went 9th fastest for V-Carb just a moment ago. And that's a really good lap from Jordan, putting the V-Carb into the top 10. His teammate William, although he's 4 tenths back, he's about 7 places back. And we've got our pole sitters currently, our front row, Hunted and Dill JG back out on track. We got 1 more qualifying lap from them, maybe 2 if they've set themselves up with the right fuel. 2.5 minutes remain. If you want to get on track, the latest I'm going to say you want to leave it to is about 1:30 here. Maybe, without the traffic considered. Hunted is about to start his lap. George, I'll have you take this away, but let's find out here if he uses ERS coming to the line. He does just slightly, and it's on hot lap, as it should be the full way around.
Yeah, so this is Hunted's last final attempt to hold on to that pole position. He's using an interesting ERS strategy, which is probably what I would use, where instead of using it on the straight, just use it out of the slow speed corners, just to give you that extra ping off of them. He's keeping it all nice and tidy so far, though. I can't really see anything wrong. Is he up on his time? I didn't see. All looks nice.
Second sector.
All looks fairly straight. Nice and straightforward. Let's see now. He's got a bit of traffic he's coming into. He's backed off.
Backed off. Yep. Dill JG has not backed off. He started a lap as well. And Kipu has had something happen. He's off, and he has retired from this session. So Kipu, who sits 8th for Alpine, is done. 4 thousandths up from Dil JG as he enters turn 3. Remember, Ferrari, one of these cars that got a change in this most recent patch. They got the HP added onto it. And we'll see with that livery if anything changes for their performance. Won't make a difference, of course, with a livery for performance, but we'll see if that does make a good luck sign for them, as even special liveries for this car in Tier 2 have in the past. Now, through the second sector for Dil JG. Just right on the white line. 31 thousandths up, but he's going to have to find more, George, if he wants to take Hunted on for pole position here. And Hunted is setting himself up perfect for a second lap as well, as he's currently on it. Dil JG, 2 more corners to go now.
On absolute royalty. He's nailed that lap as far as I can see. I couldn't see much wrong with it. Wow, what a lap. Takes pole position for the minute. What can Hunted do? Hunted's up by half a tenth.
Oh, and that slight toe may have just helped Dil JG maybe remained in second place if John or Polo or even Mentaki, who's 5th, can take the challenge. Hunted right now has been shy of a race win here before in the past, but he's got pole position. Can he at least start the night on with a good pole position that he needs to claim? Coming across the line now. He barely takes it. 16 thousandths the gap. John's not improving. Polo isn't either. And Polo, I think, is going for a second one because he invalidated the first one. John's same with him.
JTK is on his lap as well. I think I still back him to break the front row here. He's been on form and flying all season.
Checkered flag out, by the way. JTK, big slide at turn 4. That may affect him. We'll find out how much it will. Mentaki's into the pits. You got, I think, an Alpine coming in, and you got the Xbox One car of, I believe, Lewis Piper coming across the line now, and he does improve to 6th. Look at that from the Sauber driver.
I mean, to be fair,
Ardell,
he's probably just confirming he's
invalidated. Ooh. Yeah, Lewis Piper, will he be too fast for Tier 2? We'll find out. Is this just 1 lap pace? We'll find out by the race.
Wow.
But right now, not looking good in terms of that. JTK,
Big
only 6th.
The Red Bull, nowhere to be found.
Polo God is barely down. Is this going to be enough? John, I couldn't tell if he was up either, but Polo God, if he wants to get 3rd back, he needs to find the time in the last sector, and he couldn't do it. John down as well. Hunted, backed off, and it will be pole position for Hunted in Austria. The 3rd time may be the charm.
The plans and the Ferraris, even Mentaki and the Mercedes, showing the Red Bulls the way there. Haven't seen that for a while. Red Bulls nowhere to be found. Lewis Piper out qualifying one of the Red Bulls as well. Again, questions were raised before this race whether is Lewis Piper too fast. You know, almost a season or 2 ago, he was one of the fastest drivers in Tier 1. Now suddenly he's in Tier 2. It's a bit suspicious. But yeah, P7 in the Cyber out with a Red Bull. You know,
something to ask yourself about it is it 1 lap pace? Is he just good at the circuit? Well, we'll find out come the race, and maybe even next week if he's allowed back. But a big surprise, you mentioned him out qualifying a Red Bull. Look at who he's also closest to. Last week's race winner, JTK, 6th place. Let's go over your qualifying here before the race. Hunted, Dil JG, John. That's your top 3. 3 different nationalities in that top 3. Polo God, then Mentaki, JTK, Lewis Piper, Ardell, Kipu, and Wavy are out of the top 10. But C. Davies for Aston Martin. That car is better than Mercedes, I would say, on pace, and he's outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's quite surprising qualifying, in my opinion. I think Hunted is also as well another one we've been looking at if he's too fast for Tier 2. I think for sure.
Correct.
It would be unfair to ban him after getting pole because he didn't get pole by a massive margin.
Very true.
But I think it'll be interesting to see how the race goes. This race is a bit like Imola yesterday. DRS is absolutely crucial. If you lose DRS unless there's a safety car, you might as well just go into AI and go on your phone because nothing is going to happen for you that race. It'll be interesting strategy-wise. Probably a medium hard medium.
Yeah,
but again,
I see that on the screen.
The issue they'll have to face is obviously you'd rather start on the hards and go on the mediums and keep the mediums for the end of the race. However, as I just said, DRS is crucial, and you don't want to risk losing out DRS at the start. And giving yourself all the work to do at the end of the race. You want to try and get yourself in a good, solid position at the start of the race. So when it comes to the pit stops, all you've got to do is bring the car home.
Very true. Yeah, and by the way, a completely dry race for the drivers. We've got 20 seconds until lights out. I just want to mention strategy, like you said, medium hard. I see most of the people going on mediums compared to hards. Some starting on hards, maybe hoping for a safety car. Pit stop loss around the circuit, about 20 seconds.
Oh, no.
If there is a VSC or safety car that comes into play, we may end up seeing a two-stop, but I doubt it.
John
Here we go for the start.
Softs.
Can they keep it clean? Ooh. Can they keep it clean here on lap 1? Formation lap, though,
Good.
comes first.
Good.
Completely forgot about that for a moment.
It gives us a chance to dissect who's on what side. So yeah, John is the only car on soft. It's a
Shocker.
a pretty even 50-50 split, I'd say, between mediums and hards. Hunted and LJG probably had the same thought in mind. I think they both want to come out of turn 1 in the lead, so chose the softer tyre to try and give themselves the best chance to make sure. And John is just, realistically,
Maybe soft hard?
yeah, but I think realistically his aim is to get in front of the Ferrari and try and keep a McLaren 1-2, because as we've seen in Tier 3 quite a lot recently, the DRS games that teammates can pull off when working together is race changing. We saw it with myself and Jordan in Saudi Arabia and the 2 Ferraris at Bahrain. If they work together, it becomes borderline impossible for the car behind to overtake or try and get anything done. So perhaps that's John's plan. I think it's more than likely is, yes.
So most of the field, medium or hard. I see a bit of a range. Obviously, John on the soft. Something to mention about John as he sits third right here to try to attack both Hunton and Dill JG on the start, both on mediums, George, is that John, he's had an interesting start to the season. He did the same thing you did in Tier 3 Bahrain, where he messed up the strategy in the way of not changing it when the game put him on a two-stop. He had that happen and still finished, I think, P5 or P6. As for Qatar, he got involved in a lap 1 incident with Ardell, and now he recovered to, I think, P5-ish around that race, whatever it was. He sits third in the championship. Let's go over the constructors and drivers quickly as they line up on the grid before we get to the start. JTK leads the championship, 44 points he's got. Tadpole second. He's moved up to Tier 1, but he's got 25. And it's John. And JNT has moved up to Tier 1, then Dill JG. Ferrari lead Red Bull by 1 point. McLaren back in third, but they're in a good qualifying spot for this race. So they're in good position. But now, here comes the start. Lap 1, can they keep it clean becomes the question. Here we come for the 5 red lights here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Round 3 of the season. They rev it up. And it's lights out, and away we go. It looks like Hunted, a better start than Dill JG. Slight wheel spin. Now Lewis Piper trying to cover off the Red Bull, but he gets swarmed right there by both. A little bit of contact with John, and also Polo God losing out to JTK, who's now challenging third place in this race. Side by side now, as he's challenging John, who bogged down on the soft tires. GTK had a big launch, and down the inside, Ardell into the side of Polo God. But now that allows Mentalki inside of Ardell to try to go through and ahead now. Lewis Piper in the equation. Kippu there, 3 wide now into turn 4. Can they go out alive? Oh, there's contact. Ardell and Mentalki both almost come together. And because of the yellow flags from the start, with whatever happened down at turn 3, Malley got a 10-second time penalty for gaining a place illegally as they go 2 wide now to sector 3.
I've not got any menu, so I can't see. I'm just seeing the race. I'm not seeing any telemetry gaps, so I'll very much leave the commentary to you.
Alright, that's a bit of a weird one. Red Fire's lagged out, by the way. Hunted leads lap 1, but only by 3/10 over Dill JG. Since you said you don't have Red Fire, I'm going to get him an invite back as quick as possible. Luckily, having him added through Xbox does help that. But right now, our lead is under stake. Dill JG down the inside, squeezing Hunted onto the curb, but let him go right there. And now, it's a race between Ferrari versus the 2 McLarens. Dill JG getting overtaken by not just 1, but 2 McLarens. And oh, Dill JG into the side of John.
That was a bit naughty from Dylan there, both in turn 3 and turn 4. But I think everyone walked away pretty harmless. I'm just going to quickly leave and rejoin.
All right.
Might have to restart the lobby if that Aston Martin stays where
If
it
it
is.
does cause issues, yeah. That is
Should
true.
we do a quick lobby restart?
Try to join back the session, and if it causes issues, then we would, I would say. That'd be the smartest option, I'd say. But I'll get you an invite back as soon as you, I see it leaves, as soon as it shows you leaving the session. But fastest laps being traded on lap 2. As you would know, George, DRS already enabled this lap a lap earlier than before. So that gives now John the advantage. He's going to use the DRS to go past Hunted. And not just one, but 2 cars going for it. Dill JG will also have the DRS on John here as we enter turn 4. Hunted on the inside, going ahead. But as you mentioned, with Hunted getting pole, it's not straightforward for him. He's battling John, and now about to be 3 wide. Here's Dill JG and JTK racing it out into turn 4. And JTK ahead into 3rd place in this race. It's getting very racy so far, George.
I don't know. I'm not in the game. Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to give you an invite. Does not show you online for F1 anymore.
Yeah, no, I had to restart my game. Yeah, I pressed.
All right, let me know when you get back online.
Quick game
But we've had something happen. What's happened? Lewis Piper's had an off. Lewis Piper, the cause of yellow flags, his good start has come crashing down. I think Kippu may have had to take evasive action because he's now fallen 2 places behind Jordan and Wavy. And by the way, Ardell leading that train with Jordan and Wavy because, well, he fell back from the top 6 because the top 6 has broke away. Sam Gino now around. He's the cause of yellow flags to back to the field. Remember, for Ardell's case, he's filling in for Blue Gagi, who is attending prom instead of an RPL race, but hope that's fun for him. Good chance for Ardell to score points tonight. But now, JTK on the attack on Hunted. It's important, I think, for JTK here to make some moves or at least stay in this train and not give up. Oh, Wavy had an incident there at turn 3. But I was just going to say for JTK's case, don't give up here. You got to stay ahead of both Ferraris, but keep the attack on both McLarens here because it's very important, George, for him to salvage the points, even if Hunted stays in Tier 2 the whole season.
Absolutely. Right, I'm joining back now.
Red Fire, retirement from the race already. I think it's because with him, he lagged out again, and that's why. That glitch is back for Red Fire. And for Vibe Haza, I think he called it in the pit lane. That's it from him. So 2 Mercedes Academy cars have retired from the event for a tier that's had 3 or less DNFs throughout the last 4 races. If we get another 1 or 2 tonight, it may not be the clean race we would have thought. But right now, we got a Williams parked on the side of the road. Right now, our race lead is under threat, and it's between both McLarens. Do they DRS swap it, or do they just try to say to JTK right now? They're both saying hi to JTK and doing it beautifully. Playing the management game.
Yeah, I'm fixed now.
All right, you got it fixed?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Good. Well, Lyra Fusion has been overtaken for 14th place, but right now, JTK eyeing up and moving Hunted, but cannot sneak a peek right there. He has to stay behind. And Mally, up to the points. He's got a penalty already, so does Blonde, but that doesn't change them fighting it out for P10.
I tell you who's having a dream race right now. It's Polar Godram in Toki. They've just sat perfectly exactly where they need to be. At the back of a DRS train on the hards. All they've got to do is just sit there, charge their battery, stay within DRS and let the race come to them. As soon as those pit stops happen, they'll be in the driver's seat. They're one to watch for me.
Red Fire said his car was driving itself, so I guess maybe when he tried to take control an extra time, it retired him. So that's what happens to end Red Fire's race. He scored points in every race so far this season, but that streak is going to come undone. But right now, once again, will we see a change in the race lead? This time between both McLarens. Hunted, maybe protecting for John, having GTK stay behind. Yes, that seems to be the case. Everybody trying to pick their braking for turn 3. But Jordan down the inside on Ardell. Slight contact. Mally on Blonde. That's the battles we got going on. But everything remaining quiet up in front for our race leaders. But Jordan. Oh, big incident behind. Oh, big incident. That was William. Into the barrier. He got tagged with somebody right there. And I think that is side pod wing damage on the right side for William, while Jordan and Ardell were battling it out, and JTK has been overtaken by Dill JG, but big incident for William, the other V-carb driver.
Here comes JTK, never mind, you backed out of it. Yeah, it was a very good mail from Dylan into turn 4. Just got Red Bull on the braking, got the move done nice and cleanly.
Ardell, track limit penalty, we'll talk about that a lot tonight, George. It was the difference in what decided our race victory here just a few seasons ago with Beatnik and Hunted, 2 teammates.
if I was any of the cars in the top 6, I wouldn't really matter too much about overtaking or. I think it's all really showing up in the pit stops anyway. So there's no stress. My main concern would be just keeping my tyres right. Leaving myself plenty of battery in case I need it. Oh my lord, that's what you know. That's what you be doing.
Yeah, he had to avoid hitting Hunted there as Hunted went defensive. He saw Dill JG trying to attack, but he just couldn't make the move right there. Ardell and Jordan swapped, and now William swapping with Lero Fusion. Well, although William is damaged, he is staying out and trying to salvage this, probably until the first rink of pit stops, which will come soon. Side by side here, can get very tight, and William stays ahead, even though he has the damage. And Wavy Knife gets into the 3-second club.
I've noticed in the second class corner, Dylan is getting very out of shape. He's losing the rear end 2 laps in a row now. JTK is nudging him and pushing him and almost causing a massive crash, I believe. I didn't quite see it, so I'm not going to point any fingers. But it's all getting a little bit elbows out here for the lead, or in the top 6 battle.
Here we go. Into turn 3 once again. Is anybody going to attack? I think JTK is going to have a go at Dill JG, but there's no real move going to be made right there. Everybody just trying to stay in behind, but Jordan is not. He's going to dive it on the Academy teammate and almost went to the side there, but now for our race lead, Hunted through on John. So the 2 McLarens playing the DRS games with each other, trying to swap it, but also play smart. Dill JG hangs on for P3, but with Jordan and Ardell battling, this is costing them multiple time, or I was about to say places, but it's actually time that's costing them because, Mally, big slide, saves it. I was just going to say, these guys behind were catching up, but now, maybe not after Mally's incident there.
I'm just going to check the warning now to the interest of usual. Wow.
That may come into play later with our top 6. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, turn 1. Ardell through on Jordan. This seems like a repeat between Gagi, Ardell, and William in Bahrain, but now in Austria. Here we go. 2 cars on John and Hunted now. Hunted getting pressure from Dill JG. Started to cut in George, but Dill JG and John both throw on Hunted. But Hunted banging with Dill JG. Back at it. Do they both attack the race leader into 4? Only Dill JG has the balls to do that. Down the inside. Risky move. Still wheel to wheel. Hunted. Will he concede it? No, he's going to be inside line for the next corner. That's where his advantage lays. He's through. Sorry, go ahead. Warnings, top 6, you were going to say.
I didn't check, to be honest. I backed out because I saw racing happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Season 10. Wherever you go, there's action here. Oh, Hunted has been overtaken at the penultimate corner.
Okay,
and JTK!
What is JTK doing?
He tried going for it because Hunted was in a vulnerable spot, and it's costed him. Polo God now to 3rd.
JTK and Hunted are the and Polo God. That's why JTK's got 2, Hunted's got 1, and Polo God has also got 1. Those are the only warnings in the top 5 now, top 6 that I can see. But those sort of moves that JTK tried to pull on Hunted there, there's other moves that decide championships. It's all about keeping your head, and what he's done there is he's ruined his race. Unless there's a safety car now, or unless he's got some absolutely monumental speeds, he's going to be out of this race for the next, until the pit stops.
Jordan swarmed up by 2, but also 3 cars in the process. Ardell to 7th, Kipu to 8th, Davies, and now Jordan, our last points runner. George, it's getting so racy back here, even in the front of the field. Like you mentioned, it is what decides championships, but for these guys, although it's a 10-race season and, the brink of points at the back of the field, every little points position will matter, and we got our first pitter. It is John. He is into the pit lane. Do not speed. He almost did, but he got it in.
There is somebody under your desk. There is no way a man makes the noises you make unless he is being heavily helped. I mean, what was that? You have a lady friend down there, don't you?
Used to. Here we go. Polo God, Dill JG. Polo God, for the first time in quite a while, maybe since the Imola race that you won, George, back in round 4 seasons ago in Tier 2, he takes the race lead think for the first time since then. He was in a Haas that day. That was his last and only Tier 2 podium. Hunted and Mentucky, 3rd place up for grabs. Yeah, you spoke about JTK. He's up to 2 seconds behind, but if these guys continue to battle, and based on the pit stops, he's not out of this race completely just yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where he's going to bank on. He's going to bank on other people's mistakes now to bring him back into the race. Mintoki is sitting in a very ideal spot. She's got full battery, hard tyres, and DRS. She's so far she's played this race perfectly. Polo God and Dylan, they've got plenty of battery. It'll be interesting to see if those two work together now to try and boost out DRS advantage, because his tyres may start to fall off soon. I'm not sure when the pit lap is. I think it'd be around lap 15, give or take.
Yeah, I would say lap 14 earliest, I want to say. Maybe for an undercut. Here we go. First, 3rd place. Mentucky going to challenge Hunted. Here we go between the pair of them. Hunted on the inside, Mentucky on the outside, but had to concede the place. And C. Davies with Ardell is now dueling it out here. Ardell currently ahead. Davies with the help of the battery. Ardell on the Ardell on the DRS. Here we go, side by side down into 4, while Mentucky got 3rd. Ardell getting 6 back for now, but they're just leaning on each other and they can't get off each other with how close these two are racing. C. Davies through for now. Ardell still sticking around the outside, and they continue into the final sector. Will they remain this way? Oh, Ardell has to back out. Wow.
That was good respect.
This is so tight, George.
Nice to see.
About your comment. I was just gonna say what you were saying earlier. No, although I did have a lady friend before. To your point, regardless with the noises that are made, I enjoy this racing and I want to have it intense for everybody here, rather than just talking very dully and very plainly to the viewers.
My brother is acting.
I'm sure they're enjoying it just as much as we are. Ardell and Davies again. Wavy and Jordan now. 2 races in the midfield, brawling it out, and Davies up and under through.
Austria Tier 2 has Ryan on strings.
Oh, and again, here we go. Jordan with Kipu. He sent one down the inside, and can he get through? Kipu having the inside line, he won't back out. You don't think Kipu will back out in this race? He got a podium just 2 races ago in the McLaren. He stays ahead. Yeah, no, it really does. This race,
JTK's back into
3 seasons ago.
But Hunted has lost DRS on Mentucky. This is crucial.
Oh,
Hunted
you're right.
is pitting though. Hunted is pitting. So that will not help JTK extreme much. But he will get DRS back on the main straight. Will that be enough?
Oh, Wavy, another one. Jordan, another a 3 for him. Oh my goodness. You said with the front runners track limits being costly, it's costly for all these guys now. And no, I was just gonna say
Go on,
go ahead. You were gonna say?
But as I say, we saw it in Tier 3. At least the first time I've ever seen it. Every single driver, including myself, with a track limit penalty, could not ride it.
Me too. Yeah. Adil JG takes over the lead of this race over Polo God. Maybe playing it smart here at the Ferrari camp. Back behind, Wavy and Jordan side by side. I was just gonna say, George, this race 3 seasons ago was probably the most chaotic league race I've commentated, but almost big incident. Jordan is off. There was contact with Wavy, and I think Wavy was trying to avoid Jordan, and it's costed both them. Wavy a place, Jordan 3 of them.
And after this race, you could argue in Jordan's favour and against Wavy. As Mentucky overtakes Dylan, who enters the pit. That's why. So this is
a good spot for this race, I must say.
So this now, Polo and Mentucky, they both then had an excellent first day so far. They both done exactly what they needed to do. Hunted gets a penalty written in the stars. They both did exactly what they needed to do. Keep a clean first. They keep their noses clean. Keep within DRS. Build a gap to the cars behind. And now the race should come to them. They will get undercut. There will be a gap. However, towards the end of the race, they will be much quicker.
And these guys will also be on much quicker tires than John. John will be 3-4 lap fresher tires. John went soft to hards. He's our net race leader here in 9th place right now, but he's about to be caught behind this train if these guys stay out. Some of these guys on hard tires, others on mediums. Hunted now through on Dil JG. But you know what? I don't know if I feel sympathy too much for Hunted because he's cost himself with track limit penalties in the past, George. Race after being in the hospital the week prior in Canada, he went to win on track, but he had the track limit penalty that costed him in the race against Tadpole, his teammate. And also, this race 2 seasons prior. This man, although he's so fast, he just has to keep it within the limits, and he just doesn't today.
Salt and pepper, wine and cheese, Hunted and track limits penalties.
Ooh, I like that. That's a nice way of putting it. But yeah, probably not for Hunted's case. Mentalki closing up on Polo God, but no move made there. Ardell in the back of Davies. Mally and John John. This is interesting. These two raced each other about 6 years ago in a league that I was in. How about flash it back to then with these two? Flashback Friday? Well, here we go in Tier 2. Mally, DRS on John John. Probably not going to put up a fight, but at least John John gets to race an old mate of his right there for 6th place momentarily. Hunted and Dill JG within DRS, and JTK as Sam Gino in DRS of him. Maybe we'll help Sam Gino in this race not to finish last, but still a ton of people yet to pit in this race. Still a lot to play for, but like I was saying, George, a chaotic race here 3 seasons prior. It's the same thing I'm seeing in this race 3 seasons later, but without the safety cars.
No way, it was 3 seasons ago, man. What?
Season 10, Tier 2. Florian versus Hunted. It was chaotic.
That's crazy.
The only races you missed that season in that championship race you were in with Hunted and Florian and Grandpa.
Yeah, I missed like 3 races and I did a race and a half.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Here we go for our lead. Before pit stops, Mentalki didn't want to sit around for just a moment, but decided I shouldn't go for this. A little too late in the braking zone. Ardell, he's not choosing to just stick around and stay behind people. He's battled his academy teammate, almost collided with, I think it was Jordan earlier. Dill JG throwing Lewis Piper, but I was just going to say, Ardell, he's not playing around at all. And, well, you know, we had Valkyrie and another academy teammate driver in the Red Bull camp collide yesterday in Tier 3. We don't want the same thing happening again any worse than it already has with them two. But Hunted through on Lewis Piper. Crucial move there, I would say, George.
Yeah, I was just saying the traffic management for those two who have pitted early is going to be race deciding as well. As it was pretty crucial. Hunted got past Lewis. Then when he did well to get the move done. Lewis
Piper 3. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That is what may determine this race in terms of guys in the midfield looking to score points, even guys up at the front of the field. John has no penalties. Still JG, same for him. And Hunted as well has that penalty. Just a reminder there. Mentalki, she will go ahead of Polo God this time for our race lead at about the halfway point. Just a reminder as the battling just simmers down for a moment. Next week's race for Tier 2 in Spain as we continue out the weekend tomorrow. F2 Austria, F1 in Australia. Yep. 13th place. Both have pitted. That's a move into turn 1 we don't usually see. That's an overtaking spot. That's not too normal.
Probably one of the, silliest places to overtake in the game. Because now Hunted, that could be a story. She's going to drive back past him. Although, to be fair to AP, he has set himself up now for turn.
Oh! Hunted, Dill JG, wheel to wheel again, but I've just got to think, even trying to send it down the inside like that, it's just going to cost him time against John trying to catch up because he's going to have 4-lap worse tires, and this does not help the case for them at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard, as Polo's pitting, it's hard to see the game plan. You would logically think, unless Dylan is massively slower, that you won't just sit behind him, save the RS, save tyres, let him do the hard work for you. Where's Polo going to come out though? Hopefully he'll come out in front of Sam Jenner. Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah,
he'll come out.
I don't know.
Yeah, he might even come out.
Just ahead, yeah. John through an Ardell. And now Ardell, 3 wide! 3 wide, and John saw it. He backed out and then went through because these two in front made contact. John, Ardell, Davies. That's the running order, 2nd through 4th now after that skirmish right there. That was treacherous. John saw it coming.
Now, Polo God will be like a stabbed rat. However, he will have a lot of traffic to get through. It'll be crucial these next 2 or 3 laps to see how quickly and how much time he'll lose at getting past. As the academy teammate of Lewis Piper lets him pass, but this would be very helpful.
Dill JG and Hunted, I think both of them almost came together right there, and Hunted was off.
Yeah, I don't see why they're fighting so hard. There's no need for it. Oh, there's a spin. It's Ardell.
Oh! That's big. That's right in front of his teammate as well. Oh, and right in the path of Polo. Well, I will say, for Polo's race, though, George, race on here, even with that spin, because some of those guys might have had to back off as Ardell gets a 3. Some also pit. Just going to say, it's his race to lose here for at least a podium, because Hunted has a penalty. He's battling Dill JG and JTK, 4th place right there. Net P4, right up the road.
Yeah, the issue with Polo God now is that he's just got to be patient for the next 2 or so laps. He's still got a lot of people around him around pit. He's just got to sort of settle in, not trying to do all the hard work in one lap. Just settle in, let the tyres come to him, let the race come to him. There's no point trying to win it all in one lap.
Wavy Knife makes the overtake for 9th place. Hunted made the pass for 4th place, and Mentalki is in. We only have one driver up at the front of this field, maybe in contention for points, yet to pit, and that's Blonde. Dill JG and Hunted again. This is into the final few corners. Dill JG through, Hunted behind, JTK in the mix, but Polo God's right there. These guys have to play some DRS games if they want to catch up to John, and I mean DRS games by swap it around tactically. Swap it around to where you have one in front at a reasonable point to where you're not losing time, because these guys have battled so much to where they've lost time. But now this is our race for the podium if this stands right now. John, 7 seconds up the road, but his teammates trying to make it a 1-2. Hunted through momentarily.
It was mentioned in event notes as well that DRS games are allowed. It's part of the game. It's part of F1. However, if you are going to do it, you have to do it obviously.
Oh!
Okay.
Big send. And Dill JG in the Ferrari chat wondering what has he done. He's just lost Dill JG about 3 spots right there. He just went from 2nd to 5th that lap.
I did not.
And Polo God, you would have thought would have went through on JTK, but he couldn't. Sorry,
I didn't see what happened there. That's why I was on board with Hunted. But no, yeah, you would
sent it and relocked it.
DRS games are allowed, but you have to do it off the racing line to make sure you don't intentionally damage anybody's cars. So that is something for sure to look out for.
Keep in mind with Hunted having the 3-second, he needs to gain a 10-second gap here over John on 14 laps if he wants to win this race. That's what it needs to be, because you can't just rely on John getting a 3-second penalty. Dill JG and Polo God wheel to wheel. I think Polo God let him through right there because Dill JG had a lot of overspeed to catch up to the car in front. JTK now will put the challenge to Hunted, but will he come out ahead? Now becomes the question. So far, no. Kipu intercepts this place over Wavy for 7th.
These Ferraris need to work together. They can't get caught up in their own little inter-team battles. They have to work together. Both of them could still win this race. They just can't get bogged down fighting over P4 for the minute. They have to be smart about it. Mintoki as well, can't count her out. She's also on the freshest tyres out of the lot. She's only 2.5 seconds behind. Maybe a little bit too much for her to do as things stand. However, we have seen how aggressive those in front of her are fighting, so I wouldn't count her out just yet.
Yeah, and let's say for some reason Hunted does get that 3-second appealed like he was thinking about doing just 2 seasons prior. If JTK finishes 3rd in this race, John gains a good 10 points on him, and that's crucial for this championship throughout this whole season. John, by the way, just want to clarify with him, he is an American, and for the American drivers in Tier 2, only 2 have won in the past, maybe being the 3rd tonight in his 3rd start. Dill JG, Hunted, JTK, big battle here for 2nd place remains on. JTK 2nd, now Dill JG 3rd over Hunted, now 4th.
There comes
big
battling.
Well.
He's got a lot of battery to spare. Is he going to get Hunted? I think he is.
All moving around. Polo got on the inside. Hunted clipped the back of Dill JG, and there was more contact with him and Polo. But Polo has to get past here with Hunted's tires wearing and his battling being so crucial for them trying to put the fight to John, but Hunted does stay ahead. And you know what this also has? Mentalki catch up to these guys here for 5th place now. She'll be in the train in no time with this battling. Now Polo God boosting and going through at the penultimate corner, but only just contact.
It's a lot of clumsy racing here we're seeing from these guys. It's a bit concerning to see. Not sure what the game plan was for Hunted then to hang around the outside. You know, he did keep the position. He did lose quite a bit of time to Dylan in front in the process. But I mean, let him cook.
Yeah, I mean, you know, your race is already over to try to fight for the win. John's hards are wearing. You can see JTK kind of catching up, but these guys aren't really working together. So maybe if they do end up getting within 1.5, 2 seconds by the end as JTK got DRS from the lap car. They'll just wonder. It'd be a what if for this race in terms of beating John because all those battling. Speaking of battling, Jordan getting the upper edge on Blonde for 9th place. These guys do have penalties. C. Davies does not. Kipu also right there as well in the mix, and there is yellow flags. I couldn't tell if that was for any of these guys. I think it was for the lap car there of Zero Fusion.
As Dylan is just out of DRS JTK, that could be massive for this race, because what that's going to do is that's going to make him extremely vulnerable to Hunted. And then those two will keep battling hard, and it's just going to give JTK more and more chance to break away and extend that gap. Mintoki is almost back in DRS as well. She's getting massive help from that back macro car, so won't she be able to catapult herself with DRS? She deserves it, to be fair. She's driven very, very well this race. She's out driving her car for sure by keeping with the lead pack. Can't she do it though? Can't she get with the DRS?
The thing with her is that she thought this was going to be a race where she wasn't in contention for a maybe potential podium like she is right now, but she's doing what she can, and I'm impressed. Jordan now down 2 places after this battling into turn 3. Blonde ahead, Davies ahead. It's just all kicking off here for the last point spots, and some of these guys will be put outside the points due to their track penalties and their antics in this race. But here we go, 3-car race.
I did not see what happened. It was Wavy's round.
Yeah, Wavy. I was just about to compliment him, George. You were complimenting Mentaki. Wavy, although he had the penalty, was running okay. Now that's not the case.
I was going to say, I'm not sure what had happened to JTK, but at the point of Wavy's spin, he I think 3 tenths in front of Dylan. So something might have happened there. Might have maybe locked up in turn 3. Who knows?
Lewis Piper's also just almost lost DRS from Ardell. He had an off there at just a moment later than Wavy did. And Polo God now on the run for 4th place in this race. Almost a bit of contact. You can see the lap car. That is a Ferrari Academy driver, a teammate of Polo and DLJG, actually helping Mentaki with DRS here. So interesting stuff right there. More moves up in front. Contact between Polo and Hunted right there. Wavy gets a 10. JTK now overtaken for 2nd place. And Wavy, our 3rd runner to retire from this race. But that does not matter right now because the battling is up in front here while Polo God takes over 4th and Mentaki back in this race for the podium.
They aren't really taking any significant dents out of John John's lead as well. I think that's a very interesting thing to comment on. I think though if Polo God, if Polo God can't get into P2, he will be able to significantly bring that gap down. However, it just depends on if everyone else is intelligent enough to realise that. More
yellow flags. Where's that? That's Wavy's car, but there's also something else that's happened here in the middle sector. That's Ardell. Yeah, Ardell is reversing, and he's facing the wrong way. And you can see also on the right side, Wavy's car came in the path of those guys racing there, so that's going to be yellow flags preventing Mentaki maybe going for a move and Hunted that she would have wanted. But yeah, praise to her for outperforming this car. It should really be, if you want to look at where everybody's best car would be and where their performances should be, this car should really be at about 8th, 9th place, 10th place, but she's putting it another spot or 2 higher once again for another week running. She was in contention, I think, for 5th or 6th last week. Right now in 6th, but going to be P5 when the penalties get applied. More battling. Davies.
I would just like to add as well that as we see Wavy's retired, he's also terminated his own contract in Mercedes. So I did mention at the start of this race that it would be interesting to see how he performed because his seat is in jeopardy, and as you can see, he has now lost that seat.
3 strikes and you're out, it seems, with that car. Jordan has been overtaken by Davies, but was that with the yellow flags? It doesn't look like that was the case. But like I said, these guys with guys retiring, which Ardell's another one now, 4 DNFs. First time that's happened in the last 5 races with 3 or more. Or sorry, more than 3 I meant. So these guys have to be careful with yellow flags. He was another occasion. Here we go. JTK ahead now for 2nd. He controls this destiny in the 2nd place for the race against really the others trying to take the podium away. But Dill JG has the DRS now into turn 4. How will he play with that? Will he go right? Yes, he does. Inside line. Does he rear lock it like JTK has? No, but he bangs into the side of him, though. No rear locking, but still contact between the two.
Maybe not quite enough room there left by Dylan. There might be some issues to the stewards who might have a look at it. I think he might get away with it, though, but it was very, very close.
Questionable.
Speaking of
questionable
close, Hunted. Sure. I was Dylan gets it 3 seconds, but I was going to say Hunted getting very close to the back of Polo's car and we're pushing him through that corner there.
Yeah, and very crucial stuff, by the way, with Red Bull having a retired from this race. JTK in the mix, by the way. McLaren up there now. Big constructors race between those guys for the top 3 spots as well. But here we go. Polo God close, JTK close. That's going to be the fight now for the podium because Dill JG has that costly track limit penalty. 6 to go quite soon. But right now, JTK's in the move. He's through for second. Polo also trying to get his teammate. Hunted also trying to out-traction these guys as well. Big racing here in the battle for the podium. Mentoki in the mix. Are we going to see 3 wide into turn 4? Only just for a moment maybe with Dill JG getting swarmed up right here. Little contact, little argy-bargy between him and Hunted, but it all remains safe and secure. Mentoki still not gaining any places, but we'll be up to P4 by the end of this race with the penalties applied.
I think Hunted needs to have a little word with himself here because I think I've seen him about 3 or 4 times punch Dylan into that corner, and it's getting to the point now where it's a bit unsportsmanlike. He's costing Dylan a lot of time. He needs to just get his head together a little bit because his borderline held on.
Looking at the positions gained from the start of this race, by the way, John gained 2 spots. Started P3 in this race. He's kept it cool, calm, and collected. We've only had 2 races in the last 17 weeks of racing in Tier 2. 1 from outside of the front row. John looking to make that maybe another one here, where it's 1 outside the front row. Medium tires for Polo God. You would have thought it would have done better. Same with Mentoki, but it's really not done what it really should have because they've got caught up so much in this battling. But can JTK keep Polo God at bay this time? 50% for Polo God on the battery, 62 for JTK. Everything looks to be remaining the same except for 5th place here, which Hunted just remains ahead on.
Yeah, this has been a very scrappy race so far. It's been close, hard racing, but I think maybe a couple of times too many. A few drivers have overstepped the boundary a little bit. Maybe they'll redeem themselves in the last few laps. We'll see. I doubt it. It's Tier 2.
Another driver as well, dropped to reserve from Wavy's team, Vibe Haza. He's one who also retired from this race. We had 3 different Merc Academy cars retire in this race, and that's not good for their name to start the season. 6 laps to go, and it's still a race here for 2nd place. JTK trying to keep up the 100% podium rate for the season. And trying to... Yep, here we go. Polo God as well for 2nd, but Mentoki, wheel to wheel, we can see 2 battles at once. Here's Mentoki's through. Oh, getting pushed from Hunted. JTK with a 3. That's crucial now because this would put Mentoki onto the podium. Mentoki trying for her 2nd Tier 2 podium. She's got ahead of Hunted, but now with this battling in front, don't cost yourself any time. That's what you got to do. Take this carefully. But right now, they're not taking it carefully for 3rd place. JTK has it. Dill JG wants it. Is that damage for C. Davies' car?
They have taken a couple of about 4 or 5 tenths out of John in the last 2 laps. Will it be enough? Have they finally, is John's tyres finally fallen off? I know a few people say the hard tire indestructible in this game. Maybe we will see a fight for the lead in the last couple of laps of this race.
Trying to see if C. Davies has damage here. I know this is kind of, backing these guys up in the midfield here. I won't switch camera angle. Oh, Jordan just went through C. Davies' car. Yes, he does have damage on the right end plate. So it is affecting his performance a little bit in this midfield. But Jordan, inside of him, still inside of him. And Davies through for now. Yeah, battle still continues. You're right. Hunted was so close, but couldn't get there. Said he kept running in the back of people there. Did he do it again?
Yeah, he didn't cost him any time, but he loves it. He loves his bottoms.
Big stack up in front of Hunted. I think JTK and Dill JG got into it. I think Dylan ran in the back of him. Battle still brewing for 8th. Kippu running a very quiet race in 7th, by the way, for Alpine. But Davies ahead of Blonde and then Jordan. Blonde, a former Tier 2 champion. We don't speak a lot about him. He's battling this out for points. Jordan as well. Previous Tier 3 winner from this game cycle so far. Davies, one of our newer drivers. But yeah, I'm sorry to kind of cut in on that battle there for 8th. I just had to watch those cars going inside of each other, make sure everything was all good there. But, like you were saying, Hunted is getting so close, running in the back of these guys so constantly. But luckily, it hasn't spun anybody out yet. But if I'm Mentoki here, I need to get this move done on Dill JG because Polo God is not for up the road and on the same tires.
Yeah, Mentoki could still walk away with the... Oh, okay. That wasn't...
Oh, little dive. Was this a late lunge? Is this going to work out? I don't think she maybe meant to do that. Maybe just a little too late, but it's all good.
Yeah, I think I was about to say Hunted hitting someone again, but I think that's absolutely not his fault there. He looked like he was eyeing up a move on Minotaki, and she moved quite late. I think she'll get away with without a pan there, because it did look like there was a bit of congestion, let's say.
Oh! Jordan going out wide. And now going to lose DRS, it looks like, here on those guys. Maybe next time by. Not this time. They have it. Davies and Jordan on blonde. Jordan had to take evasive action for 10th place, but yeah, you're right about Minotaki. She needs to, in my opinion, she needs to get past Dill JG if she wants 2nd place. This is really good for her 2nd tier 2 podium, but maybe you want to get that extra step in case someone gets one removed. Taking a penalty, Jordan. Jordan gets another. Yep, here we go. Once again, penultimate lap. JTK going for it on Polo. Dill JG as well. 2 and 1. Now, JTK locks the rears down at 3. And Polo God tries to switch back. They're 3 wide on corner exit. And they're squeezing the Red Bull of JTK. This is perfect for Minotaki to take advantage of when they get to turn 4. But Polo God ahead.
Wow. That was a lesson on how to race closely and cleanly.
I don't know how they made it out alive, but they're still going at it. Dill JG and JTK. JTK gets pinched to the curb. Is this Mintoki's chance to take it? No. Hunted as well, just pushing her along. Maybe saying, get on with this. I have maybe another place or two to take up here. John, we've not talked a lot about him, but a 3rd American driver in his 3rd start trying to go for a 1st win here tonight. We've had quite the few drivers pick up 1st wins here in RPL as of recent, whether it be just a tier specific or really all of RPL. Leo Lund, Minico, Invade, Josh in tier F2, excuse me. But the battle races on. 2nd place, Dill JG wants it. JTK wants even more.
Yeah,
oh no, Polo's been tagged. Polo, heartbreak, around.
See you in the stewards from JTK, that was horrible.
That's going to be big for the championship as well, but here comes Hunted. Hunted trying to get 3rd place right here on track on JTK, but the podium now going to go in Mintoki's way.
Polo could still get a podium here.
A lot can happen. Entering the final couple of corners. McLaren's won this race before, but not with an American driver in his 3rd start, the 3rd different one to do it. He's played it cool, calm, and collected. John, 1st career win.
Oh, yeah,
Dill JG. Oh, apparently not, but Dill JG, 2nd place. JTK, 3rd on track. What's happened here? Is this not last lap? Is this not last lap? Here we go, 3 wide. What has happened? Now JTK down the inside. May have been the penultimate lap where Polo got tagged. It is the last lap now. Apparently the game had the last lap a lap early, I'm guessing. But still a race for the podium, you're right though. Dill JG with JTK now. Hunted there ahead of Minotaki. Confusion. Is that on me?
We are on the last lap now. Lap 36.
All right, well,
Can you not
that's
see
weird.
It?
It said lap 36 just a moment ago.
That would have been because
But-
John started the last lap.
Got it. We've had John, who's played it calm, cool, and collected, and he'll take his 1st win in Tier 2 tonight. In his 3rd start, Dill JG across the line, gets the podium, but then drops after track limit penalties. Polo God returns to the podium. Maybe a timing glitch there, but Minotaki also picks up the podium. Her 2nd in Tier 2. Same with Polo God as well. He'll return to the podium. Dill JG, then JTK, Hunted, Kipu, now Blonde with Davies and Jordan rounding out the points. Malley caught up there in the last few laps. Will he get a point spot after penalties? Yes, he will. Will into the points for Haas. Lewis Piper. Was that a glitch maybe? Or do those guys have so much penalties? That looks like it's a timing glitch.
American. Fight for the right of every man. Yeah, I think Parallel will get a podium there because there'll be so many penalties from the cars in front anyway.
A little bit of a timing glitch there at the end, by the way, George. That may have been after you left the session.
Maybe.
But I don't know if he got the podium after the track limit penalties were applied.
Oh no, he
don't
won't.
know.
No, he won't. Oh no, he did. Yeah, P2. Apparently.
It said he got P2, but him and Mintucci both were without penalties,
Apparently he's
and he finished behind
a
Mintucci.
56-second lap. Well.
Yeah, this lobby got glitched.
Apparently,
But
like everyone's like, what?
Yeah, massive confusion. I think next time the host does lag out, we should restart. I could see why you were saying that earlier, but yeah.
We'll just have to go off the stream, just
yeah,
before the last time.
This happened before here, by the way. It's not first time it's happened in Austria. Podium celebrations. John with the victory over Mintucci, then Polo got, I believe. Oh, I cannot see results on my screen.
Yeah. So it was John. So as the results say, John first, Polo got second, and Mintucci third. Dylan P4, JTK P5, Hunted P6, Kipu P7, Lewis Piper P8, and Blonde P9. It's just cut off. To be fair, I think
Davies P10. Or 9 P9.
I think
Molly P10.
those results will be quite close to what the real results will be after the stewards thingy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. And we'll have to get John an interview if he wants one. Titan saying Polo got albined. Yeah, it's the best way to put it. I think JTK, like you said, will see the steward's office and, well, he's going to finish off the podium for the first time this season, George, but it's going to affect the championship race for sure. We got a race on our hands now.
Absolutely, yeah. As I was saying with his little mistake at the start of the race, that those sort of mistakes that can cost championships, and he made quite a few tonight. We will have to see if those are pivotal.
You'll need to record the deltas over the line to get proper results, says Jack to me and you. All right, well, yeah, that was definitely a confusing end in terms of the timing, but Polo figuring out if he's P3 or P4 doesn't know, but looks like it's a return to the podium for Polo. First time since the start of last game in Imola, a race you won, George, that day. Mintucci also a second Tier 2 podium, second ever RPL podium, back to the podium for her. And our race winner now, in his third start, being the third different US driver to win in Tier 2. John, welcome to the RPL Winners Club, my friend. Tell us about the race. You played it calm, cool, and collected, and you really did deserve to win today for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, my throat is like out of it. It's just like, it might sound terrible, but I couldn't believe that, one, the softs went that long. I was planning to do a soft start anyway, but I just didn't know how long I was going to go on the softs. But they went 10 laps, and I'm like, okay, I can get a massive undercut here. And as soon as I saw like 5-6 seconds, I'm like, okay, I just have to keep it clean. Don't have any scary moments, which I did have one with Ardell and like Aston Martin. That was slightly terrifying.
I see that.
But yeah, it's just, I have to give some credit to Hunt for holding them up a little bit. I mean, the pace was very strong anyway. I mean, they only had one track limit warning that whole race, so I was fearing I was going to at least get one, but no, I actually did very well with that too. But yeah, I mean, my pace was fantastic, and it really helped me that I was not in that 6-car battle for the podium back there, because by watching the dots, it seemed like it was very chaotic.
Yeah, it was a race back and forth, I feel like, with the way it was throughout the whole field. So, I mean, you were able to pull the undercut. You had a lot of battling in the first half. I mean, what do you take it so far, your first 2 races here in RPL as a whole? Because your race in Bahrain was hindered by strategy. Last week it was Ardell, and finally maybe your first clean race ends up being a win. What are your thoughts on how the battling went, and just what you've endured throughout the first 2 races to maybe, depending on penalties, take over the championship lead next week. Not this week, but next week if your race goes right.
Yeah, I mean, Bahrain obviously was just a blunder. I didn't change tires and kept my head down and all that, so that was unfortunate. And then Qatar, I mean, I put myself there with the terrible quali, and I don't say I deserved to get spun there, but like, because it was a racing incident. But to be fair, again, I'm just glad this one didn't have to be a comeback drive. Thank God. So it's like, right, third time's a charm. Right? It has to be the third time, right? And it was, thankfully. So, and I'm actually gonna go back to this. I'm actually very surprised that I was the only one on softs to start. I thought there would at least be a couple more, at least.
Soft hard. You did the strategy right. And congrats on your first win here. A confusing end because the timing did make it a bit confusing at the end there. I don't know if you had that thing happen as well. But George, any questions for John?
Yeah, so you obviously did a soft hard, you pitted earlier, and you were on the hards for quite a while. I know for certain me and Ryan thought that you were going to be a sitting duck, especially to the likes of Polar God and Mintoki, who were on the mediums. What do you think was the pivotal moment for you in that race? Do you think it was your strategy with the soft hards, with the that amazing stint you were able to do on the hards, or do you reckon it was just the fact you were able to like keep out of battles and incidents because there was a lot of scrappy racing behind you? What do you reckon was the deciding factor today?
I think there was multiple. I think really just how my softs did well even at the end, because I was honestly expecting around lap 8. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really start struggling against these guys, but I didn't, surprisingly. And then when the rest of them pitted and I saw like 6 seconds, I'm like, okay. And like they had to go through traffic like I did, so I'm thinking, okay, I have a big gap because like it's not like 6 seconds like in Spa, it's like 6 seconds in Austria, which 6 seconds here is like big. Like that's not a small gap at Austria. So I'm thinking, okay, if they're smart, they play DRS games and just try to switch, but they obviously did not. So, and that helped me in the end as well, like them battling, like especially at turn 3. I'm just seeing the dots go 3 wide everywhere. It's like, okay, that's another half a second. Thank you very much. But no, I think there was multiple points where I think I knew by around like lap 30. I'm like, okay, if I don't bin this, I have it in the back. Like I don't just have to keep it on the black stuff. That's all I gotta do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what other people struggled with. Maybe there was quite a few people in the train behind you who were trying to win the race every corner. And their impatience was certainly the downfall for them today. So I think you're absolutely right that your ability to just keep your head and keep it on track definitely is what put you on the top step. So congrats for that.
Thank you very much.
Congrats once again, and I just want to add one thing before you go. I saw you overtake Mally 41. Never did I think you two would be in the same race again 6 years later after URA. Just thought I'd add that. That I was amazed of getting to see you two on track in the same race again. So, yep, congrats on the win once again. And yeah, we got a race on our hands for the constructors now. McLaren probably putting themselves in that race. Red Bull and Ferrari both had drivers have mistakes. Ardell retired. JTK will be seeing the steward's office. Dill JG had a track limit penalty. Polo God got spun and still got a podium, I believe. So, yeah, it was crazy stuff at the end of that race for sure, George. We have more racing to continue this weekend. We have Austria for F2, which should be interesting tomorrow, and Australia for F1. But for Tier 2's sake, Spain next week. What do we see there that changes the championship once again?
Well, Spain is normally quite close. I can remember in my days in Ferrari Tier 1, I was getting gassed. I was only a couple of tenths off some of the fastest drivers in TT, and I was humbled very quickly by Jack saying that it's definitely a track where the slower drivers can keep up with the faster drivers. It's a very forgiving track. So expect it to be very bunched up. I think it's definitely car performance based track. But again, like we saw today, I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think it's going to be more about just who can get their elbows out, or who can be the most sensible, who has the best strategy, and like John showed today, who can keep their head the best.
Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be the thing we watch out for tomorrow in F2 for some of these guys who race in that tier as well, because, well, if anything was to show for what we're going to see tomorrow for F2 at this track, although it's not the same cars, well, you got to be very careful at how you play the DRS games, because just like we saw, getting your braking point wrong, like JTK went on the side of Polo, and Hunt had kept tapping the back of a few cars, and JTK, Jill JG, both aggressive at turn 4 multiple times. I think that's going to be the big thing we watch out for tomorrow in F2. And even JTK rear-locked it a lot, George. Rear-locking is a bigger thing in F2 cars than it is these F1 cars. So we'll have to watch out for tomorrow in F2 at Austria and F1 at Australia for that.
Yeah, it was, I think to be fair, apart from a few exceptions, it was a very, very scruffy race today. It definitely wasn't the finest performance from Tier 2.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people have got a lot to prove in the next round at Spain, which, to be fair, might be a recipe for disaster, as a lot of people will be trying to get their championship back on back on track. Excuse the pun.
Back on form, yeah.
So I think, there's a lot of people who need to sort of get their heads, compose themselves, and a few people who will have a massive psychological advantage. So yeah, it should be a really interesting one.
Absolutely, and even Spain, we have some data to go off of from the Tier 3 preseason event, so it's not like that's completely bone dry. Same with F2 at Spain, so a lot of things drivers can look at if they want to maybe get that extra advantage over the others. But anyways, we have more racing to continue this weekend, and next week we got F2 in Austria tomorrow morning and into the afternoon and evening, depending on time zone. F1 in Australia for Tier 1 to end off the weekend, and next week Tier 3 of Britain and Tier 2 in Spain. But until next time, your two commentators, Ryan Searles, George Alp-Williams, a former Tier 2 podium sitter and winner, both signing off. Have a good one, and we'll see you then.